Hello, welcome to week 11. This video is for week 11 library orientation. This week we're focusing specifically on the research process. Just as a reminder, hello, I am your friendly embedded librarian for your English C1000 course. So you have to watch this video as part of your assignments this week, and you'll be writing about what you learned for your discussion this week. But this video is really going to provide some assistance for the next couple weeks. So looking at our course plan right here, um, we can see that this week we are starting to learn more about the research process. The last three essays have really been building blocks towards this research assignment. And even in these next couple of weeks, we're still kind of building towards your culminating research paper. Um, and so this video, we're gonna dive deep into the library databases, find out which sources are higher quality, which sources are not preferred in an academic research assignment, and we'll talk about various research strategies. At the end, I will also be talking about ways that me and you can reach out. Um, Connect. As part of your assignment, you will be needing to get library assistance. So let me jump into that. Um, so library assistance, this is a part of your syllabus, as you can see, under the section on page 5 where it talks about the research paper. There is a note that it says library assistance is required within with the research assignment to go over your topic and find sources. Um, you can reach out to me via Canvas, via email. Um, I'm also available via appointment on Zoom or in person at the Lompoc Campus Valley Center Library if you happen to be nearby. Um, but if none of those routes work for you, the library chat is also available to talk to a Hancock librarian who's working remotely. So just as a note, it is a requirement to touch base, get help with the library as part of your research paper. It is, let me go back. It is due November 30th, I believe. Um, but as I said, in week 12, you is the deadline to get your topic approved by Professor Joswiak. And then there's already like drafting of your research paper. Your annotated bibliography that's due in week 13 is going to showcase the sources that you've already picked out for your research paper. So really now is the time to start thinking about this. So as I said, the annotated bib, which I believe is due in the middle of November, um, as I just mentioned, and just to point it out to you in our Canvas, is a collection of sources you plan to use in your research paper. So again, we're building towards this major research assignment. Um, and then you, when we get access to the research paper guidelines, um, a couple of things that we want to look out for, again, um, this is different as compared to an essay. And the main things that I look out for as the librarian, where our bread and butter is really research and helping students learn how to do research, and teaching various strategies when researching, we definitely look out for a couple of things. So we want to make sure we know what citation we need. So we'll keep that in mind. So MLA citation is important. Um, and then under sources, we want to see how many sources you need and what kind of sources are allowed. So a minimum of 5 outside sources and no more than 8. and then a variety of sources, which is something that we'll go into as we jump into the databases. Use just one article from your textbook, and then, as it says here, any source found within our library is considered scholarly and is preferred over an online source. And we'll talk about the differences between internet sources such as .com, .org, .edu, .gov versus library databases. And there's definitely a difference between um, quality on internet websites. From the Hancock homepage, there's always a link to the library in the upper gray bar right here. A link always lives here. So that's the easiest way to get to us. And then again, I want to point out the live chat that's here on the right-hand side. There are extended hours Saturdays and Sundays, and you will get a response usually typically within a minute or two. So you can ask about research assistance. The librarian will probably ask you about your assignment and your topic, just to give you more specific recommendations that are relevant for you. So this chat is awesome. For research purposes, we're going to scroll down to the left-hand side under research, and we're going to click on the fourth one, articles, databases. So we have navigated to the databases page. As the title says, this is where we find articles specifically for our academic assignments. And under all of these yellow tabs are links to a variety of different databases. So I may have mentioned this in the week 4 library orientation, but I will reiterate here that Allen Hancock College has paid subscriptions to these databases so that our students can access these for free. It's quite literally hundreds of thousands of dollars that your college pays money in order for our students to access these freely. If you're ever off campus, you can access any of these databases, as I said, off campus or really any time of the day because they're all online. It'll just ask you to log in with your MyHancock login. Your MyHancock login is really the key to the city, the only thing you need to access any of the library's digital materials. So that's awesome, right? There's lots for you to pick from. It's kind of overwhelming. It can definitely feel overwhelming just with the sheer amount of databases listed here. But this is what this video is for. We're going to be talking about the research process. So I'm going to give you, as your embedded librarian, a couple of recommendations and starting points. So a research strategy to know is that it's generally good practice to try a variety of databases. So that means I would recommend you try 2 to 3 different databases, just because they all have different collections of materials. So we're going to find different things in each one of them. For example, we are going to be starting actually with the Credo database. It's under Reference Books Online. Credo is definitely one of my go-to databases. It's really great for background information. So I'm going to click on the database. And I believe I was already logged into my Hancock email. So it's already automatically logged me in. I am also on campus, so the IP address might already associate me with Allen Hancock College. So with Credo, as it says here, really great for background info. We are gonna do a demo search here let's do pollution. And we're already gonna be jumping into research strategies here. So before I hit enter, I want you to look at the auto suggestions. These could be other words that we could try. The database is trying to guess what we're searching. So it's providing words that the that the database is using. So it's kind of its own language. Occasionally, sometimes you'll find words that you hadn't thought about. So it's good to brainstorm using the auto suggestion. So there's air pollution, water pollution, environmental pollution, pollution control. Even when I'm looking at the word control, I'm also thinking about prevention. For now, we'll just start off with pollution. And here are the search results for Credo. I have yet to mention, and as you'll see, all of the sources from Credo are encyclopedic or dictionary sources. So they are all fact-checked before they've been published into these encyclopedias or dictionaries. To be honest, the way that it's formatted, I'll just click on one search result just to show you. This layout really reminds me of Wikipedia. And if we want to compare Credo versus Wikipedia, Wikipedia is really nice in getting a feel for your topic, if that's what you would like to do, kind of maybe brainstorm different topics you may want to cover. Related to your overall research paper. Wikipedia just won't be a source that we include in our research paper because anybody can go in and edit Wikipedia at any time. And as I said here with Credo, all of these articles that we see in Credo have all been fact-checked by experts in the field before they're allowed to be published. So just the fact-checking before publishing, before making it public to the audience, is kind of like the biggest difference and the reason why we don't use Wikipedia in our research assignments as a source. So Credo is really great for those background type of information. I have said this before to students, I think of Credo as the academic Wikipedia. Back to the search results. They are on the left-hand side. I do want to quickly point out on the right-hand side here, this infographic is called a mind map. And as you can see, it has the word that we searched in the middle, but it has various related words. And some of them we may recognize from the auto suggestions, but there's also other ones that we haven't seen yet here. This mind map can be really helpful in browsing related keywords, and we'll talk about that more in a different database. So this can be really helpful in maybe giving us an idea like, okay, if I'm going to be talking about pollution, maybe I want to talk about some entities that regulate pollution, such as the United States Environmental Protection Agency. And maybe you want to talk about specific legislation or policies that are trying to maybe mitigate pollution in our cities or environment. There's also waste management. So if you want to talk about that in a specific paragraph or section, that could be helpful. So really this mind map can really help you kind of brainstorm potential like subtopics that you might want to cover in your research. So hazardous waste, air pollution, recycling. So I do want to point to that mind map. When you're here in Credo, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to click on multiple search results because they are all coming from different encyclopedias and dictionaries that are looking at the topic from a specific point of view. So for example, this big entry is actually kind of like featured. The rest of the search results are down here. But this entry on pollution is from an encyclopedia of global health. So it looks like this is going to have more of an international look at pollution. If we go down, this entry on pollution is from Environmental History and Global Change. So it sounds like it's also going to be international, right? It's going to have a global point of view, but it's also historical. So As you can see here, there's 2,500 words. So this article is going to go pretty in depth on pollution. The next one is from a dictionary of biology. And then there's the Bloomsbury Guide to Human Thought. And then the Hutchinson Unabridged Encyclopedia with Atlas and Weather Guide is just a general encyclopedia. There's also Collins Dictionary of Economics. So pollution in relation to the economy. Ships and sea. That's the idea. I'm going to click back into a search results just to show you what it looks like. Let's go to the first one in the search results. So as I said, some are going to be quite long. And ooh, this one goes way back to the BCs. Some of them are going to be quite long, and I encourage you. Pollution is a very broad topic, and maybe not all of this is going to apply to your research paper. I do encourage you to at least skim through it and look at the headings, and maybe there's a section that you want to specifically focus on. Maybe you want to talk about the Industrial Revolution and how that affected air pollution as part of maybe your introduction or providing background on your topic. Smogs in London, so definitely international here. Lake pollution, light pollution, marine pollution, noise pollution, interesting, river pollution, soil and groundwater pollution. So if you find an article that you are interested in, maybe you kind of skimmed it and you may be potentially interested in using it, I highly recommend you look at the toolbar. So on this page, there's the title of the article. It tells you where it's from. And then under that is the toolbar. So we're going to look at a couple of these here. Under share, there's the email button. So I highly recommend you email this to yourself. Emailing articles to yourself is going to save you time in having to like dig and find them later on. So either email it to yourself or so you just need to fill this out. It looks like the email automatically generates a citation. So you would just click on the one that you need and click send. An email has been sent. Make sure to check your spam or your junk folder as well. So sharing, and then under here, there's also the link. So if you prefer just having a document that lists all the links of the articles that you may be interested in actually reading fully, that can be really helpful as well. There's also a cite button. Most of our databases have auto citation features such as this, and we just want to click on the one that we need, which is MLA. So this is the entry that we would copy and paste in our references section, our works cited section. Super helpful. Definitely look out for the citation buttons as you're researching in the library databases. It does about 90% of the work. It's still our responsibility to double check formatting after we copy and paste. So for example, whatever you see italicized here, the where it was published, as well as the database, are in italics. That is a part of Emily citation style. And if it doesn't paste like that, when you copy paste it, you will need to format that on your own, as well as double spacing. And also, Credo is a really great example of needing to double check your citations formatting because it doesn't do the hanging indentation. So everything after the first line does need to be indented, and you would need to do that on your own. So super helpful. Everything is in the right order, but we still want to double check it, especially for formatting after we copy paste. Okay, there's also some other cool features in the databases, such as a read aloud tool. If you're more of an auditory learner, you can have this page read to you. You could just click on that and the page will be read to you, which is pretty cool. And then there's also a translate button. If there is a specific other language that you would prefer to read this article in, there's various options here as well. And there's also a save function if you want to download this article, print it, or save it to a Google Drive or something similar. In talking about the research process, we also want to think about finding similar articles. So, especially because we know that this research paper requires a minimum of 5 outside sources. Credo is actually really helpful in providing some related recommendations. So on the right-hand side, there are related searches. So again, these are related keywords. So pollution, air pollution, water pollution, smog, that could be another interesting one. Clean Air Act, so maybe specific legislation that is related to preventing or targeting or reducing pollution, sewage treatment. So if you want to focus on something specific on pollution, such as recycling or sewage or cleaning up the ocean, that could be interesting to click on. Industrial revolution, so something historical background, and then the Environmental Protection Agency that we mentioned earlier. So these could be other keywords that we try out in searching. There's also related articles. So the database is basically saying, oh, you like this article, we recommend these articles. So it could be worth clicking on any of these. We could, for example, click on this one, Office of Transportation and Air Quality. Just a dictionary term, not super helpful, but maybe we could search that word and find more information about this specific US office. So that is the overview on Credo. Definitely recommend trying out some searches here. We are gonna leave Credo now and go back to the articles page. So as I said, definitely try out multiple databases because they all have different collections of materials. We're going to find different things in each one of them. The next one that I want to point you to is under the Films Online section. So these 3 databases are specifically films, so video media, and they are, as you can see, academic video online. They're definitely a more academic point of view. So the last one is definitely, as I says here, feature-length films. I definitely recommend trying out Films Online and academic video online. For the sake of this video, we are just going to click on Films on Demand. And so you can browse through the different subjects here, or I would just do a search here. So in thinking about globalization, we are going to try out a different search here. And we're going to do poverty. Okay. The search results aren't listing the specific years that these were published. What you can do, because there's 5,000 search results, you can click and ask to sort it from newest to oldest. That could definitely help us find newer material that is more current and talking about poverty. Now, though, because it's focusing more on year versus the actual and not necessarily prioritizing the keyword, we could maybe go back. Just wanted to offer that suggestion. You can also browse by subjects if there's a specific area, but we can actually just go to the first one. So because this database is a library database and the librarians have chosen it because it's great for academic assignments and academic purposes, you can use these kind of sources in your research assignment. So, Films on Demand is pretty cool in that it has like a transcript. So you can, my favorite feature here is that you can actually search for a specific word and, oh, um, you can search for a specific word and it'll show you the little black dots here are the search results. And, and it's highlighted as well. I'm not sure you can hear the video because I do have headphones on, but as you can see, the word that I searched is highlighted in the transcript, which is kind of helpful, especially for these videos that are pretty long. And there's also segments as well. So from transcript tab, there's also a segments tab, and interesting. So we clicked on the search result that was situational poverty, but poverty USA also sounds interesting in relation to what we were searching. Um, so it could be interesting to click on this segment as well and perhaps browse through this section. So if you find a video that you like here in Films on Demand, there is, again, look for the tools bar. It's actually pretty similar to Credo. There's a share button, so you can email this video to yourself so you don't have to try to recreate the same search and maybe you find it, maybe you don't. Or there's also the citation button as well. So you can click Cite, and this is what you would include in your citation. If you do talk about a video within your paper, those are called in-text citations for any of your outside sources. And I did go to Purdue OWL, and for videos, you actually do include the timestamps that you're referencing. So for time-based media sources, Purdue OWL is a really great citation resource. For media that has a runtime, such as a movie or podcast, include the range of hours, minutes, and seconds you plan to reference. So this is the example that they have here. And I was actually browsing through, this is a library guide from a college, and they have a section on citing streaming video. And they have like a more specific example of in text. So if there's an author, if the video creator is known, it would include the last name of video creator and then the runtime that you are specifically referencing. Or if the video creator is unknown, you would start with the title, words from the title in quotation marks. So this, I love showing specific examples of what this will actually look like in your paper. So this would be the in-text citation for videos. So either if there's an author / video creator, their last name followed by the runtime that you specifically watched where you got the information that you're referencing in your paper, or if there's no author or video creator known, you would have a couple of words from the title in quotations followed by the runtime, the start and the end time. And these are in minutes. You don't have to list necessarily the hours. That would be 00. Okay, so that is Film on Demand. Films on Demand. So if there was ever, let me see. I think Films on Demand also has TED Talks. So if there was even like it might be Anthony Street. It might be Academic Video Online. Oh, there is, sorry. Films on Demand does have TED Talks. So if there was like a YouTube video that you were interested in potentially using, it's definitely worth trying out a search here and seeing if the TED Talk may be available within the library database, video database. So that is Films on Demand. And a couple of other places that I would like to mention You do have access to a variety of newspaper databases here. So we do have like a general news bank, and then there's US major dailies. So some of the major publications, such as New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, LA Times, Chicago Tribune, and it goes back to the 1980s to the present. For our research purposes, we also, if your topic is something that you wanted to focus specifically on, by geography, so maybe you want to focus on your topic specific to California. There is a California news sources database, and then there's also you have access to the Santa Maria Times here. So you don't have to go on the Santa Maria Times website. There's often paywalls or there's lots of ads on the side. You don't have to deal with any of that here in the library databases. So I'm going to click on California news sources, and it actually lists the variety. There's very many. There's at least 9 pages here of newspapers. There's 261. So we're pulling from lots of different sources, which is really cool. I would recommend doing a keyword search here. So we could also do recycling. So I'm going to click enter. And we're getting lots of search results here. So when we're getting so many search results that we realistically will not be able to get through, some research strategies to think about are narrowing down our topic as well as using the filters. So the filters are on the left-hand side where you can refine your search results. So for example, this depends on your assignment guidelines. Um, the assignment guidelines may ask you to have sources that are no older than the last 5 to 10 years. And especially if you want like the latest information about your topic, it could be helpful, especially if you're no longer like, okay, I've got my history background done, or I've got my informational background done on my topic. Now I want to see like the newest information. It can be helpful to narrow down the years. So I'm going to click on 2020 to 2019, and you can actually get 2020. Well, that's pretty good. Actually, I was just thinking. So that would be the last 5 years. Uh, and as you can see, you can even narrow it down even more. There's lots of stuff from this year. There's over 5,000 search results from this year. And you can also search by type. So maybe this is just like the variety of sources available here. You can maybe click on newspaper or web only source. Or if there's a specific newspaper you're interested in, you can narrow it down by that as well, or by city or location. Once you've filtered for what you want and have made it pretty specific, and you're still getting lots of search results like I am, that's when I recommend you narrow down your topic a bit more. So we can either add a different keyword. So I'm going to click on advanced search and add a different keyword here. We can maybe try something specific to Santa Barbara County. And it defaults to date. So I'm just going to click alt text like the first one and then click search. And that has helped narrow it down, which can be really helpful. So this is from the San Luis Obispo newspaper, which is funny because it's that is SLO County, but we're so close together. As you can see, sometimes the keywords that I tried, Santa Barbara County, are not coming out all together. What we can do is we can put our keywords in quotation marks, and that will help. Now we've got 300 search results, which is definitely less than before. That can definitely help narrow down our search results. So County Fire focuses on rechargeable battery safety for Fire Prevention Week. I do see Santa Barbara County here in the preview. Vandenberg Falcon launch marks 300 Starlink mission for SpaceX. Interesting. And again, recycling is still a pretty broad word. So if there's something more that you were interested in trying out, you can definitely click the add button here and add a different keyword as well. But we can click on one of these. Okay. Christmas trees will burn and that's part of the celebration. Santa Barbara County Fire Department. Interesting. So the words are a part of different articles, which is always a part of the uniqueness of digitized newspapers. So I would recommend focusing on the ones that have them in the specific articles. Let's see. Okay. So some of them are digitized or some of them are just the HTML text, which can be helpful. Again, if there's an article you like, find the toolbar. So it's above the title here. So we can hover over them. You can click Cite, and then you can use any of these to export, or you can just click on under the copy citation info, we can click on MLA. And this is what you would copy paste. And then there's the email button again. Honestly, I would put my email in both of these since they're both required. I don't think it necessarily matters. There's a print button available. There's a download function, and there's also a link as well. Those are my favorite ones. What I want to reiterate here with the databases is that the benefits of using these databases versus Google. We're Googling around and we find like a .com website. So for example, we could do California and recycling like we just did in the newspaper. Okay. So the first one after the AI search results is coming from ca.gov, which is actually pretty good. .gov and .edu websites are generally, because they're for more informational purposes, there's no ads on that website. They're not trying to get you to click on anything. They're generally more credible than any .com websites. .org does require a bit more of your evaluation skills, just because Wikipedia is .org, right? So it's good to see, to open up a different tab and search the organization. What are their goals? What is their purpose? Are they trying to, is the information they're stating purely objective? Are they just stating the facts? So those are some things to consider. There's also .net, .com. So you can type cite:/.gov at the end of your keywords, and now all of your search results are .gov. So that can help filter out any .com websites. And you can also do this with .edu as well. So there's some stuff from law schools in Berkeley, Cal Poly, good stuff here. So when we're talking especially about internet sources, we do want to think a bit more about how we evaluate. So I have this tab open for evaluating your sources. This is from a library guide on the research process, which can be really helpful. If you want to know how to get here, I'll show you on the homepage, library homepage. I am actually on research guides, LibGuides. And then the one that we're looking for is actually under general. But if you also just search research process here, it'll get you to the one that we're looking for. And the step that we are on is 5. So as part of the research process, it's really a skill to evaluate your sources, especially for internet sites that you may want to use. And there definitely can be internet websites that could be very informational. There's also a lot of academic journals that are open access, which means that they are freely available, that you may find just on the internet. Using the cable method can be really helpful. So some things that we want to think about as we're evaluating. So currency. So this just means, is this information outdated? Can we find newer information out there? And this depends on your topic. If you are looking at this from a more historical perspective, the date doesn't necessarily matter as much. It's also important to look at your assignment guidelines to see what's required of you, to see if your instructor is requiring something that's no older than the last 5 years, last 10 years. Generally, that is considered current, 5 to 10 years. But if it's especially a topic that is frequently on the news, there's new information, new research being done on the topic that you're researching, looking at when it was published can be really helpful. So that's currency. There's also authority. So who wrote this? Who wrote the article that you're reading? Especially for websites. The articles that we find on the library databases are from authors who are often experts in the field, or they're associated with a university as part of their research. So what are their credentials? Like, do they have a degree in the topic that you're researching? And how can I find more about the author? So often I would open up a new tab and try a search on the author, especially if it's a website. A library article, it's not, that requires less evaluation. Bias. So we want to make sure that the sources that we find are unbiased. And what that means is that the articles that these authors wrote are stating facts. And if they're referencing outside information, perhaps like a research study or various data that they did not produce in their own research, we want to make sure that they're referencing where they're getting their information from. So the same thing that we're asking of you, that this assignment is asking of you, to provide sources to make your argument and your research paper stronger, is the same thing that we look out for in the sources that we potentially want to use. So level. How useful is this information for your purpose? So our purpose is related, I like to think of level academically versus like general population. So especially this question, do you feel comfortable citing this page in a college level assignment? And we see this very easily when we compare the library databases. All of these databases are for academic purposes, academic audience in mind. Versus if we find something on a .com website, that's more for a general population, for a general audience. Explore where does the site's information come from? Is it scholarly or popular? Can you verify the information? Can you open up a new tab and verify the information that you see? Something to look out for in the library databases, you will find opinion pieces as well. As it says here, there may be websites that may be legitimate. They come from legitimate places, but they may not be impartial, which means that they might still hold some bias, and that they are arguing their specific opinion. To round this out and end this video, I wanted to point you to under week 4, under Karina's library page. I recently added to it for week 11 here. And I will also send out an announcement on this. But I created a form where you can request a one-on-one research appointment. This can be via Zoom or, as I said, at the LVC library at Allen Hancock. So you can either pause, take a picture of this QR code, or I've also linked it as well. So it just asks some basic information, like how would you like me to reach out to you to confirm the appointment, email or phone call? Please list your email or phone call. Please list the topic that you're planning to research, and then what's your meeting preference. And then the last question is if you could list 2 to 3 different times that you may be available, that can be really helpful. Generally, here are the open hours for the LVC library. If you know you have a life, you have other responsibilities. If Saturday or Sunday works better for you, we can definitely still meet. It would just have to be on Zoom since the library is physically closed. And even if you prefer like an evening or a different day, it could also be via Zoom. Whatever works best for you. I know this is an online class. So once you fill this out, I will get back in touch with you within a business day. But with this research appointment time, it's going to be really a one-on-one time to jumpstart your research together. And with you listing your topic, I'm going to be able to kind of prepare and arrive at our appointment with some recommendations already on hand. Like, okay, I think we should do this database and this database. And the goal is for us to try some searches together and for you to feel more comfortable and to continue on your own. And I'm always hopeful that we'll find at least 1 or 2 sources together, and then you'll feel more good to jumpstart on your own. Okay. Good luck. You got this. I believe in you. You're going to do great. I am here for you. So whatever questions you have, don't hesitate to reach out either via Canvas or email or with that form. Okay. Good luck. Bye.